Hey crew, this is Go Vegan Kevis. This is not a vlog. I'm just gonna narrate over the full 32-minute time trial I did up Doi Suthep when I was in Thailand. I just thought this was a good idea, just because for my own viewing pleasure, in the past I've really enjoyed these kind of videos where someone just like slaps on a GoPro and then narrates what's happening play by play. I think that stuff's really fascinating. And I know that a lot of cyclists are subscribed to this channel. I even left a message, or I asked the question on Instagram to see if people wanted to see a video of me narrating over the full uncut version of the time trial. And some people said they were interested, a few people came to me, and I'm just gonna do it anyway. So this is a little bit different on this channel. Usually I just stick to vlogs. This is something I'll do very, very rarely. So enjoy the video, and yeah, hope you guys like it. Alright, let's do this, my first ever narration. So we're going up right before the gates at the start of the segment for the Doi Suthep climb. Right now we're just at 200 watts. Paul's just starting to ramp it up. And of course during the time trial, we just passed the gate, so the time trial starts here. But one thing I want to say is that before the segment starts, you usually want to wind up a little bit and like put on the gas so you kind of have some speed going into the segment. So it just kind of, you know, if you're even on the flats, if you're doing a 1 mile segment, you know, you get a faster time if you're coming in hot already. So we just wind it up right before the ramp, right before we cross that gate, and now we're on the way. The first part is, you know, is difficult. You know, the first few minutes of a time trial like this, a long one, are challenging. I mean, everyone's serious right now. Everyone's experiencing in their legs a quite drastic change of sensation. I mean, you know, we were going from, if some of these guys haven't warmed up, some of these guys have warmed up, but when you're going from like 200 watts now up to 320, 350, I mean, your legs still haven't adapted to it, you know. And for someone who is warmed up, it might feel easy and then it'll get harder later on. But the start of a time trial like this really tests your mental ability. This is really just the hardest part. Sometimes I feel like on these time trials, the start is always the hardest, and you know, 10-20 minutes in, my body will start to get comfortable and then it'll go numb. But the beginning is always like your legs feel heavy, they feel blocked, they start screaming, you know, because they're just not used to that kind of power that soon. So what I'm thinking in my head right now is just I'm focusing on that wheel, just trying to like get every single piece of that draft from Paul, and I'm just lost in that wheel. I'm not really looking up much, and you know, some people say it's safer to look up. I don't know if people say that, but I just look in front of the wheel and I trust Paul 100% where he's taking me, and you can see how close I am to that wheel. I mean, I'm giving it about a foot, like a solid foot, and I've definitely touched his wheel. You'll see that later in the time trial. There's Anna on the back. Anna held on for about 7 minutes. The pace was a little hot for Anna, but like, and Anna's a female rider. I mean, Anna's like an incredible rider. For her to hold on for 7 minutes is still really impressive. Her PR up this segment, Doi Suthep, is under 35 minutes, which is the queen. She's the queen of the mountain on this segment. She has the fastest female time, and she's just a sensational bike rider. You know, there's Colin and Josie. Colin and Josie are on the motorbike. They're filming. Colin's driving. Josie's filming. So they're just strategizing a little bit. The instructions I gave them how to film is just, I told them to stick on me, film me, but of course get like group shots. But because it was personally made for my vlog, you know, I kind of set this whole thing up. I asked them to film me more of it. So that's why they were filming me. But I definitely wanted to get a lot of crew shots. I basically, at the end, I was just like, I want to tell a good story about my journey training here in Thailand, and you know, just this day, just tell the story of this day. And just, so for me, when I'm editing, like in that vlog, you know, I won't necessarily use the coolest footage. I mean, the coolest footage always helps, so I always use the footage that makes the most sense, and just good footage that will help narrate the story. You know, help tell the story. So we just got through a little fast slant down. Now we're really starting to climb. I think these stretches of 6-7% gradients now start to be a little bit longer. But yeah, the beginning is around, I feel like around 9-8% gradient. It ramps down, you go fast for a little bit. And you start climbing, steady 6-7% gradient. You'll hit plenty of switchbacks. I mean, a lot of tight corners, and a lot of the corners, just like this one, you'll ramp down, which, you know, it really increases the speed, really test your ability to push the power under different kind of gravitational force. So of course, when you're pushing watts downhill, and then all of a sudden you're going uphill, your legs have to adapt. But it's on a climb like this, it's harder on the flats. And when it actually starts to flatten out and go downhill, when you're climbing, and then you hit a flat downhill part, Paul's really strong at that kind of riding, I've noticed. He's got the KOM at Moncham, which really speaks that truth, because Moncham ramps down a lot. I mean, there's kind of some long flat sections. So Paul's really skillful at heavy pedaling, hard pedaling. And I personally like hard pedaling too. Ever since I got on a power meter, you know, I'd always try to hold a certain amount of watts, no matter it was downhill, uphill, or on the flats. A lot of people like to surge on the uphill. Sorry about the footage. You know, this footage was mainly meant for the vlog, so there's just like, you know, there's some bits where, you know, mainly we were just trying to get good shots, not really, we weren't planning to upload this uncut version, so bear with me on the shots. Just I'm gonna keep trying to narrate. But anyway, like, yeah, Paul's really strong. He's really good at hard pedaling. Like right now he's doing that. He understands that, you know, even though it seems harder to push the watts, the same amount of watts when it flattens out, he knows that we get a real benefit off his slipstream when we start riding fast like that. Look how close I am to that wheel, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, I almost touched it there. But anytime Paul will get out of the saddle, he would like, here he gets out of the saddle right here, I believe. No, never mind. Usually when he gets out of the saddle, he kind of like moves back a little bit, which is the case for a lot of riders. I try to jump forward, but I just like that. I'm pretty sure I touched wheels right here, and I think I touched wheels right there. I didn't react much. It was kind of like, it was a really light touch, but you know, definitely if you're riding really fast on the flats, you're going 20, 25, 30 miles per hour, you don't want to be this close to his wheel unless you're like incredibly experienced. But because we're going mostly uphill, I felt comfortable just being absolutely glued to his wheel, like sometimes leaving centimeters and even touching his wheel, because usually when we're going slower on the uphill, I can save it. But if I do touch his wheel when it starts flattening out or starts going downhill, then I could get myself into some danger there. But I felt like, nah, I didn't really ever open up a gap even on the downhills and the flats, and you can see that. Maybe I should have, but I felt comfortable in the moment. It was just really when Paul would get out of the saddle, I won't expect it, and then I'll be already too close to his wheel, and then we'll touch. So Anna's off the back right now. Of course she didn't finish with us if you saw in the vlog. But anyway, Anna, if you're watching this, kudos to you, good effort. She's so strong. You know, you're so strong. Alright, so here we're hitting the corner. You know, maybe ramping up to 8% here. All the riders right now in the pack are, of course, me. We got Paul Van's wheel in the front. Paul is just a world-class rider. I mean, to me, he's a world-class rider. He's done a lot of pro bike racing in South Africa. So he's been a pro cyclist in South Africa. And right now he's doing it fucking easy. And I'm suffering. I definitely showed the most pain. Maybe some people had just as much pain, but I'm definitely not afraid to show it. Unless I'm racing, maybe I'll try to hold back the pain face, but you know, today I was definitely suffering. You're able to see that. The other riders, that's Chris on the back there. Chris was telling me that like he thought he was the first one to drop off. He'll be the first one to drop off. He actually didn't like the camera filming him. He said that he didn't like, it wasn't like mad, or maybe I don't know how he felt in the moment, but he said like he didn't feel comfortable. It kind of felt weird with the camera on him. And sorry about that, Chris, but anyway, you pulled through and it looks sick, man. We got Jay, fourth guy in the pace line. Jay was the strongest rider in this pace line. Jay had the fastest time. He did 31:30 this day. And yeah, Josie and Colin were even talking about how comfortable he looked. He was he was just in the zone. He felt strong that day, and you can really see it. We got David right behind me, David Banana, German rider. He's got a good YouTube channel, David Banana. He does all his videos in German if you're German, so check that out. I'll link his YouTube channel in the description. I'll link everyone's YouTube channels in the description, anyone who's got one. I'll link Paul's, Jay's, and Chris. I don't know if Chris has a YouTube channel. I might have to hunt for it. But yeah, David was good too. David, me and David can have been like on the same fitness level while I was there in Thailand. We were riding at similar speeds as you saw at during the Samong Loop vlog. Me and him were battling it out, and today he had the better legs, but he didn't do Doi on Kong 2 days ago, so I deserve some seconds on that, some time on because of that. So yep, just cruising along, passing Thai bike riders. A lot of them are mountain bikes. A lot of locals love climbing this mountain. This is just such a great mountain for everyone to enjoy. It's from the center of the city, from the moat, the square. It's literally about like 3 kilometers from this. No, it's like about 4 kilometers, 3 or 4 kilometers from the center of the city. So it's such a convenient climb, and I mean, it's like you go from like really populated, high traffic city and go into this lush tropical rainforest like climb. It's fucking incredible. Really good. I really noticed that when I first got to Chiang Mai this year. I'm like, you don't find this kind of stuff in Hawaii. This is like epic climbing. Really good hills. I don't know what Josie said exactly, but she said she was uncomfortable. I think she was uncomfortable the way she was sitting and like turning her back or something. But Josie, if you're watching this, you rock. I'm linking your YouTube channel in the description too. And Cardio Collins. So here, Paul is cutting some corners there, and you guys might think, if you're not an experienced cyclist, you might think it's like that's a little dangerous, but Paul knows what he's doing. He's cutting those corners smart. He's looking back when he needs to, and you know, it's kind of a better way to avoid some of the hills and kind of go faster overall. But we're not crossing onto the opposite lane. We're staying on our lane. We got 2 lanes on our side. Paul's out the saddle doing his thing. When you're out the saddle as comfortable as he is, you know you're doing it easy. I had to stay in the saddle the whole time. I think pretty sure Jay and Chris were both in the saddle too the whole time. David Banana was out the saddle a lot. He was having fun. He enjoys being out the saddle, he was telling me. Chris got a sick bike. He's got a Trek Amonda ALR. Jay's on the Giant Propel TCR. David Banana's riding an Alloy Fuji Roubaix. And Paul's riding a Carbon Bianchi Sempre. Paul's had that bike for a while. He cracked the top tube last year, descending too fast down this mountain actually. But he's got him repaired. Loves that Bianchi. He rides some Campagnolo, I believe Aero alloy wheels that, you know, you see the tri-spokes in the rear there. I'm just riding some shitty Reynolds, some $150 shitty Reynolds wheels. If anyone knows like what's, I don't know, I mean I could do the research on that, but I'm always curious. Like a lot of people, I see a lot of people riding the tri Campagnolo wheels. Paul's got carbon wheels, I believe. Paul's got carbon wheels. Jay's got alloy wheels, and so does Chris. Alloy wheels are more preferable in these really hot conditions here in Thailand. Of course, you've heard of, maybe if you heard or not, but you can damage the rims if you overheat the braking surface, the rim braking surface, and the brake pad. You can damage the rim. You can kind of melt the carbon. So it's preferable to bring alloy wheels to Thailand because it is so hot. But I don't know. I haven't heard too many stories. It's just been it's been the word, but I haven't heard too many bad stories with carbon wheels melting here in Thailand. There's Paul. Paul's got no hands on, and at this point, it's kind of hurting because sometimes when you're riding uphill, no hands, you start surging a little bit. So Paul was surging, he's like doing it no hands, and I'm like suffering right behind him. Paul's off the saddle now. I'm pretty sure Paul just take his hands off the handlebars just to put on some music, put on some jams. And there's me suffering away. Someone told me I had the fastest cadence. Harry, if you're watching this, you told me I had the fastest cadence. I would definitely agree with you. My cadence was absolutely rapid. It's usually how I do my time trials. You know, for a time trial back here in Hawaii, which I'll do, you know, do similar climbs like this, my cadence will average 100, at least 100. And if it's averaging 100 on the flats, I might be spinning up to 120 cadence. I find on the flats I tend to want to spin more than the going uphill. That's just what's comfortable to me, but a lot of these guys were running like, David's got like 92 cadence going, Paul's got like 100 going right now, Jay's got like 96, and Chris looks like he's got like 94 RPMs. I don't know what their average cadences was, but I was spinning the fuck out of those cranks. And yeah, the more I suffer, the faster I want to spin. I should do more strength training though. I should do more low cadence exercise. I feel like I could build up my strength. I think it could help because I never grind. I'm always spinning, and it definitely, spinning is the way to go. But I think there's some benefit to building some nice strength from grinding a little bit on your training sessions. Definitely on your time trial, full gas efforts, you want to be spinning. So if you're going for time, you know, you want the best time. And what's shown, what the sign says, I was working at a bike shop, and this guy, my owner, would always refer to the signs. It'd be like 94 RPM is the optimal cadence for humans on a bicycle. So it's around 94 RPM, and you can see the pros in today's professional bike racing, they're spinning the fuck out of the cranksets. I mean, the most talented bike riders, it has the fastest cadence in the peloton. That's Chris Froome. So I touched the wheel right there, tongue stuck out. Always saved it. Always saving it up the hills. David Banana told me he hit my wheel twice too. He touched wheels with me, and he was like, "Sorry about that." And I'm like, "I didn't even notice, bro." David on the other side of the lane, I wouldn't recommend that. David, you're gonna get yourself into team shit cunt. David's always joking around the two groups in Chiang Mai. It's like, you got team shit cunt and you got team hypocrites. So I can get him into team shit cunt right there. But it's all fun and games, and he's not taking too many risks. He did that maybe once the whole time trial, but after last year's incident, we learned how much the Thais disapprove breaking traffic laws on your bike in Thailand. Definitely don't want to do that. Try to be polite. If you're in Chiang Mai, be polite and follow the traffic laws. Don't bomb red lights. If you don't want to wait, maybe go onto the pedestrian crosswalk and wait like a pedestrian. I think you might be able to cross the lanes quick, because I feel I mean, the lanes sometimes in downtown Thailand, sometimes the intersections have long red lights. Like, it's longer than the US I've experienced. It's kind of crazy. Chris having a sip of some water. I don't know, what is he drinking? Let's see. It looks like, I don't know. I'll have to look at his bottle, but might be drinking water or sugar water. It's usually be two options, you know. During the time trial, you know, depending on how much you ate the night before, I find it will determine how much sugar I'll consume during the time trial or before it. But you can see I have some grape juice. I have some grape juice and some like coconut syrup in there. And I just have that just in case. I have a small amount. I'm not carrying, like, I didn't fill my bottles up all the way, you know. You want to save as much weight as possible. You want to keep it as lightweight as possible. So how much water you have on your bike, you know, can actually slow you down. Paul's got no water bottles, which I think is a bad idea, because he's just going for an easy spin and he probably needs some water at the top or something, but it's funny. But maybe I shouldn't even have bottles, but I kind of had in Chiang Mai, I was commuting like 5 miles to the bottom of Doi Suthep, so I was kind of a little far away, so and I'm always just trying to keep hydrated and carved up. Everyone had 1 bottle. I had 2 bottles because I wanted water. I just wanted plain water, and I wanted sugar water or some kind of glucose in the other bottle. So I had 2 bottles, and I didn't drink any of those during the time trial because you're breathing so hard. You know, I want to be hydrated before, but depending on how long that time trial is, like, I don't drink during the time trial because I'm breathing so hard. It's like you take a drink when you're breathing so hard. It's like you're just gasped for air. I mean, you're gasping for air after that. Man, it must have been really fun for Paul. Just like, well, I don't know, but if I was in Paul's shoes, man, this would have been so much fun. I mean, he's literally just riding tempo. He's probably riding comfortably hard right now, and he's just cruising up the mountain. Camera's on him. He's got music pumping. He's fucking having a good time. But some of us, like, you know, we have a job to do. We're pushing watts right now, and we're suffering right now in the moment. But yeah, everyone's holding on. I mean, I suffered like the whole fucking time trial from beginning to end. You know, never felt like it was easy. Sometimes, at some points I cracked a smile and was having fun and feeling confident. But you can see I'm on the edge of my seat right here. And I don't know if anyone who suffers starts like creeping up to the edge of their seat because they're just trying to glue themselves to the wheel and just put out more power, but that's how I'm feeling exactly. I'm in like full TT mode. Sometimes you see the pros, they're on the edge of the seats on their time trial bikes, but I think that just helps aero gains. And I feel like it helps my aeroness too if I'm on the edge of my seat. And yeah, when I'm on the edge of the seat like that, I'm suffering pretty bad. That means I'm doing whatever it takes to grab that wheel. Maybe like I could have like relaxed a little bit and sit back in my seat and got comfortable. Maybe that would have helped. But in the moment, you're doing whatever you can. You're just crawling. You're just crawling to keep contact with that rear wheel that's in front of you. So hand positions, just shifting back and forth what's comfortable. Going uphill, you don't have to worry too much about aerodynamics. They don't come into play as much, so most of the time you just want to be upright, so you know you got direct oxygen flowing into your body from your mouth. Have that mouth wide open, get as much oxygen as possible. And the only time I would get aero is when it starts flattening out. I'll start dropping my elbows if we start riding a little bit faster, but I won't really go into the drops. I didn't go into the drops until when it really ramped down. You'll see that later. But if I want to get a little bit aero and just stay in the same hand position, you always just can drop your elbows a little bit. And this is where David drops back a little bit. He gets on the back. Jay bridged that gap immediately. You didn't really get a good shot of that, but Jay did a good job. He did the right thing. You know, sometimes you feel like it's nice just to not pass your friend, but in a way you're doing them a favor because you're breaking the wind for them right away. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, but on the downhill part, you know, I dropped off Paul's wheel and they didn't bridge the gap. They didn't pass me. So the pace was real hot at the moment. That's why we'll talk about it when it comes up. But yeah, so David's dropped back. David was suffering. David was the first to pop off, but he actually got a faster time than me. He ended up passing me. So here, suffering. But loving it, man. Like, I live for this. Looking back at this, this was as good as it gets, man. Just riding fast up the hill, good friends, good vibes. This is what it's all about, man. Okay, so here, so this is the next clip right here. So it starts flattening out. David's dropped off. This is the fast downhill section, and it is tears. Paul, I interviewed Paul after this time trial. He said he launched it at about 450 watts. He said he overcooked it. I fucking let off his wheel. Gap opens up. Jay or Chris don't pass me to bridge the gap. So the pace is real on that these guys don't even want to break the wind for me. And I had to do the chasing in the wind. They did the smart thing. I really think this could have came down to why I got dropped. I really do feel like I could give this as a potential excuse. Even though, like, I can't blame Paul at all. He's doing us a big favor. It would be really difficult for me to score the time I did that day, 32:15, without Paul. So I give all the kudos to Paul. I have no anger, I got no anger towards Paul for accidentally overcooking it. But I think it did probably fuck with me. I didn't really realize that. I didn't have power meter on me, so I didn't realize Paul was overcooking it on the descent. Paul just thought he was gonna help us get some more slipstream time, but we weren't quite quick into that draft, and yeah, he launched it, and you know, that kind of fucked with me because I'm like, oh shit, I can't hold a wheel in the downhill, like fuck. And then I still kept pushing, had to bridge the gap in the wind, and now my legs are really exploding, and I'm really hurting, and I'd pop off pretty soon. But Chris and Jay, for their own best interest, they did the smart thing not to bridge that gap. I probably would have done the exact same thing because the pace was hot. It was real tough, and Jay sees that I'm about to pop off. It's gonna start bridging the gap. Fuck. And in the moment, you know, now looking back at this, like, you know, I've edited this footage, you know, for the vlog, and I was rewatching clips over and over again, and something Anna told me that relates to all of this is that, you know, when you're done with the time trial and you're looking back at it and you're like trying to tell yourself, it's like, why couldn't I just hold on? Why couldn't I just hold on for like literally 8 more minutes? But it's like, that's easy to say when you're done with the time trial and you're not hurting, but in that moment, like, you hurt. So it kind of makes you feel better about not giving yourself too much shit. And here, I drop off. We passed Derek. Derek's from California. I don't think he's been cycling for too long. I think he just got into the sport. And I passed by him. He's like, what the hell is going on here? And I'm suffering super bad. Now Derek starts pushing on a little bit. Tries to keep up with us a little bit. Josie trying to cheer me on, not helping because I'm just dying. But here, hey, like, I popped off on this time trial, like, it's a time trial, so I'm not done pushing till it's over. Even though now chances of me doing sub 32 pace up this climb is over. That dream's over. I'm still gonna push on. I'm gonna get some 32. So I'm not done here. I'm not done. I yell right there. Sometimes I'll yell, like, when I'm around people, I'll try to yell less. I don't know if people think that's cool or not, but when I'm doing time trials here in Hawaii and I'm doing them by myself, I can yell. I can be pretty vocal because it kind of helps me just like go from like pain, suffering mode into like anger and just push on. David's coming back. David didn't fucking explode his legs on the descent. He paced it probably well. He's feeling good again. He's looking at the camera. He doesn't even look like he's breathing hard. Like, he's really got a good poker face right now. And I'm just letting it loose. I'm just trying to get on anyone's wheel that I can get. Paul's came back for me, actually, and he's gonna help me pace the rest of the climb. Just super nice of him. I did give him during the night before, so he was a little bit obligated to do that. But yeah, I value this so much. Like, I feel like I owe Paul so much, you know, because to me, like, him pacing me for these time trials, like, means so much, dude. Like, if you're paced by anyone, like, I would return the favor. Like, I mean, if I paced you for a climb, don't feel obligated to return me the favor. I don't expect nothing. Like, I'm grateful to pace anyone, but like for me personally, man, I value that so much. Like, I owe Paul my life. Not really, but Paul's a legend, dude. I really look up to the kid. You know, I met him last year, and like I was a noob, and he like talked to me, like he hung out with me, and I was like able to be friends with him, and without him like judging me too much, you know. So that's what I really like about Paul, and you know, he's always got your back. He really is one of the nicest, sweetest, kindest, most kind person I know. Like, really is really cool, man. And really grateful that he's pacing me for this time trial. So this is a hard section. Like the last, you know, the last what, 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers are the toughest. Sam the Vegan said this in his video, Fastest Vegan Up to Doi Suthep. He was like, yeah, the last bit, like it flattens out and then it gets steep. Like, it really is the hardest section. And to me, it's like, I totally can relate to that. It is like a hard climb to pace because of that reason, you know. I mean, of course, if you've done the climb enough, you can pace it, but like for someone to do it for the first few times, like you don't really know what to expect. Because the first half is really consistent, you know what to expect, and the second half is kind of like completely different. It's a lot steeper, you got a downhill section. And yeah, this is where so through that corner right there, you can see in the background a little bit, that corner started to ramp up to 10-11%. It's the steepest section. We're just about coming into the finish now. It's still pretty steep here, maybe it's 9%, drop down a little bit. But this is tough because, you know, you know, you're really done at this point. I mean, you're going really slow and it's not really giving you much confidence. So it kind of hurts the morale a little bit, but once you see that finish, we're about to see it. We got the farmers market stands on the left. We're about to pass all the flags, and now this is where the sprint comes in. Paul trying to cheer me on, and I'm just trying to spin the fuck out of the cranks because literally I got no power in my legs, so I'm really just trying to pump blood and cardio, and literally I'm only sprinting at like 400 watts right now because I really got nothing. But that's the beauty about time trials. You want to pace it evenly. I mean, it's not really beneficial if you have enough power to push out 1,000 watts at the end on a crazy sprint. You know, if you're gonna sprint at 1,000 watts in the end, you just want to hold 400 all the way, you know. But for me, held about 320 watts, given everything I got. The finish is coming right up. Usually I'll finish where the planters on the left end. So in the middle of both lanes of those planters. After I reach that, usually I'm done. Segment might be over before then though. So Josie congratulating me, just saying good job. And right now I'm in real suffer zone, mouth wide open. My body's just trying to get as much oxygen in. It's probably dealing with a lot of lactic acid that it wants to flush out. And yeah, you almost like falling off the bike after the time trial. Like, I'm literally just balancing and pushing like 100 watts at the moment. And now you look fresh-faced all of a sudden. What? But yeah, it was really good fun. Gonna end the video right here. Just telling Josie I'm gonna spin the legs out and we'll do a post-video interview. Holy shit, guys. That was incredibly fun. That was the fastest 32 minutes of my life. Before doing this narration, I was like, you know, 32 minutes, that's gonna take a while. Can I really talk for that long? But man, I was absolutely so into that. That was so much fun. So yeah, that's the time trial. My final time on this segment was 32:15. That was a PR by a minute and 15 seconds. I held about 4.7 watts per kilo. And yeah, that's the narration. I hope these tips helped. Give me some feedback on these kind of videos. If you guys want me to do more videos like these, let me know. But it might be tough because, you know, I'm not really have access to someone filming on a motorbike all the time. But anyway, just give me some feedback on this video, and we'll continue on with the vlogs. So If you guys watch this, much love. That was a lot of fun. See you next time. Peace.